Who needs no introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyway. Rick Harrison of Gold and Silver Pawn and Pawn Stars, and now Rick Harrison's Collection.
Basically educated myself, and then I'd always been buying and selling stuff. My dad had a little coin shop, and I wanted a pawn shop.
For a year, Rick Harrison faced heartbreak, grieving the loss of his son, facing another failed marriage, and wondering if happiness was something he would ever find again. The man who built his life making deals at Pawn Stars knew that some things, no matter how rare, couldn't be bought. But just when life seemed to have taken everything from him, he found himself stepping into a new chapter. Who is the woman who helped Rick turn pain into love? And how did he go from sorrow to saying, "She said yes"? Past filled with heartbreak and grief. Rick Harrison's life has always been an open book, a journey filled with triumphs and heartbreaks. Before he found happiness with Angie Polushkin, his personal life had been marked by a series of relationships, each shaping the man he is today. While the world knows him as the tough negotiator behind the counter of Pawn Stars, his path to love has been far from simple. In his early years, Rick married Kim Harrison, a relationship that brought the joy of fatherhood, but eventually came to an end. Like many young couples, they faced challenges that made it difficult to stay together. Though little is publicly known about their time as husband and wife, this chapter of his life played a role in shaping his outlook on relationships. Not long after, Rick found love again and married Tracy Harrison. This marriage, which lasted for over 2 decades, brought stability and deeper responsibilities. Together, they navigated the ups and downs of life, balancing personal commitments with Rick's growing ambitions in the pawn business. But even the longest relationships can reach a crossroads. After 25 years together, they decided to part ways in 2011. As time passed, Rick was ready to take another chance at lasting love. In the year 2013, he married Deanna Burdett, a woman who was not part of the pawn world, but seemed to be the perfect match. Their wedding was a highly anticipated event, drawing public attention as fans rooted for their happiness. For years, they built a life together, sharing quiet moments away from the cameras and the constant demands of Rick's career. But even with love and good intentions, their paths eventually began to drift apart. By 2020, they made the difficult decision to end their marriage, marking another significant loss in Rick's personal life. Despite everything, Rick was not ready to give up on the idea of companionship. In 2021, he married Amanda Palmer, hoping that this relationship would bring him the stability he had long sought. However, not all stories play out as expected. While they had moments of happiness, the differences between them became too significant to overlook. After just 2 years together, they finalized their divorce in 2023. Another moment of reflection for Rick, but nothing could have prepared him for the pain that would soon follow. In early 2024, Rick faced an unimaginable tragedy, the loss of his son, Adam. No heartbreak compares to that of losing a child, and for Rick, it was a wound that cut deeper than anything he had ever experienced. He withdrew from the public eye, searching for meaning in a world that suddenly felt emptier. The grief was overwhelming, a sorrow that cast a long shadow over everything else in his life. For over a year, happiness felt like a distant memory. The energy he once brought to his work and the joy he found in the simplest moments seemed to fade. Fans who had followed his journey for years could sense the grief he carried, but even in the darkest times, life has a way of bringing unexpected light. Just when it seemed like love had slipped through his fingers for good, a new chapter quietly began, one that would not only help him heal, but remind him that even after the deepest grief, happiness can find its way back. Meeting Angie Polushkin. Love often arrives when it is least expected, and for Rick Harrison, it came at a time when happiness felt like a distant memory. After enduring profound losses, including the passing of his son and the end of multiple marriages, the weight of grief never truly left. For over a year, each day blended into the next, filled with routines that lacked the warmth they once carried. Then in early 2024, a new person entered his world, Angie Polushkin. Their first encounter remains a private story, one known only to those closest to them. Yet what is certain is that their connection grew quickly, built on understanding and shared experiences. Unlike the relationships Rick had before, this one progressed quietly, away from public attention, allowing them to form a bond without outside pressure. It did not take long for people around him to notice a change. The spark that grief had dimmed seemed to return little by little as Angie became an important part of his life. Angie Polushkin is not a familiar face in the world of reality television, nor is she a celebrity by any means. She is a 42-year-old nurse from Las Vegas, someone who has dedicated her life to caring for others. Compassionate, grounded, and strong in her own right, she entered Rick's life when he needed it the most. Not as someone to replace what had been lost, but as someone who could stand beside him as he rebuilt his world. She understood what it meant to heal, not just physically but emotionally, and that made all the difference. Their relationship, which began in the early months of 2024, unfolded gradually, offering Rick something he had not experienced in a long time, a sense of peace. While his career at the gold and silver pawn shop kept him busy, his time with Angie brought moments of stillness, the kind that reminded him there was still joy to be found in everyday life. It had been a long time since he had someone by his side who truly saw him, not as the face of Pawn Stars, but as a man who had carried more than his share of burdens. Grief never fully disappears, but love has a way of softening its edges. Angie helped Rick navigate the pain that had settled into his life, not by trying to erase it, but by standing with him through it. With each passing day, Rick began to feel something he had thought might never return: happiness. Slowly, the weight on his shoulders began to lift. Friends and family saw the transformation, and so did fans who had followed his journey for years. The change in his demeanor was undeniable. The sharp wit and humor that had made him famous began to resurface, but this time it carried a sense of contentment rather than distraction. It became clear that, for the first time in a long while, Rick was not just moving forward. He was looking ahead with hope. But love, when it is real, does not settle for staying still. Rick had spent a lifetime learning that the most valuable things are the ones that cannot be bought, and he knew that what he had found with Angie was something rare. As their bond deepened, he made a decision that would mark the beginning of yet another chapter in his life. One that, after years of loss, would finally be about a future built on love. And when the moment came, there was no doubt. She said yes. It was a turning point, one that Rick had never imagined he would reach again. After enduring years of loss, Rick Harrison found something he had once believed was out of reach: a sense of belonging, a love that felt steady and true. For over a year, he and Angie Polushkin built a relationship that was not about grand gestures or the public eye, but about quiet moments, shared laughter, and the deep understanding that comes with finding the right person. As time passed, Rick knew this was different. He had walked this road before, but something about Angie made it feel new, as if love had given him another chance. It was not just about companionship, but about finding someone who had stood beside him in his darkest moments and made life feel lighter again. After months of reflection, he made his decision. It was time. Of course, Rick being Rick, his proposal did not happen just once. It happened twice. The first time, in his living room, he had asked Angie to marry him in what felt like a simple moment. But his daughters were quick to chime in, calling it the most unromantic proposal ever. That playful criticism stuck with him, and deep down, he knew they were right. Angie deserved an unforgettable experience, and so he decided to do it again, but this time in a way that would be remembered forever. On a sunny day this month, Rick and Angie found themselves in the breathtaking vineyards of Casablanca Valley, Chile. The sprawling landscape of rolling hills and endless rows of grapevines set the perfect scene. It was a moment that did not need much planning. It simply felt right. As they toured one of the region's finest wineries, Rick saw his chance. He got down on one knee, holding a ring that carried more than just value. It carried meaning. This was no ordinary engagement ring. It was a 6.5-carat pear-shaped diamond, a rare and stunning piece from his very own gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. To Rick, the ring was priceless, just like the love he had found with Angie. When he looked up at her, there was no question in his mind. And when she saw him, there was no hesitation in her answer. She said yes. Angie later shared the moment on social media, writing, "We toured a beautiful winery in Chile, and Rick got down on one knee." Her post captured glimpses of their special day, exploring the vineyards, sipping glasses of wine, and basking in the glow of the moment. She even added a song to the background of her post, "I Said Yes" by Sonny Bloom, a quiet yet powerful tribute to a love story that had just turned the page to its next chapter. News of their engagement spread quickly. Fans, friends, and longtime followers of Pawn Stars flooded the couple with messages of joy and support. For many, it was a welcome sight. After years of hardship, Rick was stepping into happiness once again. The excitement was obvious, not just because he had found love, but because he had chosen to embrace it fully. Yet for Rick, this proposal was not about proving anything to the world. It was about proving to himself that happiness was still possible. But this was only the beginning. As the proposal's celebration slowed, another thought took center stage. What would the future hold for Rick and Angie? And more importantly, what came next for the man who had spent a lifetime negotiating deals, but had finally found something beyond price? Rick's fifth shot at love. For Rick Harrison, love has never been about giving up. It has always been about believing that the right person is out there. Even after 4 marriages that ended in heartbreak, he has remained hopeful, never allowing past disappointments to define his future. Some might have walked away from the idea of love altogether, deciding that it was simply not meant to be. But Rick, he never stopped searching. He never stopped believing. And now, standing beside Angie Polushkin, he knows that every step, every setback, every lesson along the way has led him here. With Angie, things feel different. It is not about grand expectations or the weight of the past. It is about 2 people who have found a rare bond, regardless of their 18-year age gap. Over the years, Rick has built his career on understanding the value of things and knowing when to take a chance and when to walk away. And in love, just like in business, he knows that when something truly special comes along, you do not let it slip through your fingers. Though details about their wedding plans are not public yet, one thing is clear. This time, Rick is not rushing anything. He and Angie are enjoying this chapter, embracing the joy of simply being together. They have already traveled the world, shared quiet moments away from the cameras, and built a bond that goes beyond the spotlight. Whether they choose an extravagant ceremony or a simple, intimate affair, the true celebration lies in what they have already found in each other. For Rick, this engagement is more than just another chance at marriage. It is proof that love can come when it is least expected, that happiness is always within reach for those willing to take a chance. The years of grief, of loss, of wondering if love had passed him by, all of it has led to this moment, a moment where he can finally say that he has found something real. Fans who have followed his journey for years have witnessed his highs and lows, his triumphs and heartbreaks. And now they see him standing at the threshold of a new hope. The man who has spent his life negotiating deals, weighing risks, and calculating value has finally found happiness that cannot be measured. The future remains unwritten, but one thing is very clear. After years of searching, after a year of grief, Rick Harrison has finally found happiness. And this time, he is holding on to it with both hands. Life has a way of surprising us, even in the darkest moments. Rick Harrison's journey proves that love, resilience, and hope can lead to happiness, no matter how many times life knocks us down. What do you think about Rick's story? Do you believe in finding love on the 5th attempt? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates.